Hey guys, Chickadee Maine, aka Deboo, with a video forecast update. This forecast update effective around 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday, September 22nd, 2024. And okay, I want to start you off with the latest tropical weather outlook this morning out of the National Hurricane Center, bumping the chances up of tropical cyclone development up to 70% chance. If you have been following along on our social feeds, earlier this morning we had posted satellite imagery talking about the dark mass just under the Nicaragua-Honduran border. And now the National Hurricane Center has put a red X there where we think that the vorticity of what will become the next invest, which is 97L invest, here shortly, sometime later this morning. Now, I'm going to switch you over to some satellite imagery here and kind of go back over what we talked about in our first video. And give me 1 second here. All right, so this is the first visible of today, okay? And you can see this is as the sun comes up. You see that shadow pass? That's nighttime versus daytime. So this is real-time visible satellite imagery. Okay, let me zoom back out a little bit. Now, here is the corner of the Nicaraguan-Honduran border, and you can see some convection firing up there, right? And so this is going to end up being the invest. But one of the things that we talked about in the video now 48 hours ago was the trigger mechanism, or the trigger mech, that would that induce tropical cyclone genesis. And here it is here. And you can see the convection starting to fire up. So you've got rotation here, right? And then this is moving in towards here. And so this starts the consolidation process. Okay. Now here's where it gets real important, guys. And this is in the Gulf of Honduras, because what we're going to see is you're going to see this invest come up in here at the same time this is pushing in on the back side. And as it does, it's going to want to push it into the Gulf of Honduras. Okay, I've seen this movie play out plenty of times. And you can already see the rotational spin already setting up here. Okay. Now, the GFS is really stepping up in time now and is inside 96 hours of putting a formidable hurricane into the central Gulf, okay? And it's going to come off the tip of the Yucatan Peninsula, or at least that's what it looks like to me, and come off a little bit further off towards the west than what the GFS is currently showing. And again, if you have been following us on our social feeds this morning, in the last video, we talked about land interaction and how land interaction can do funny things. What the GFS is showing us right now in its run is that there's not going to be any land interaction. And you can already see the idea setting up. And here it is. Instead of the vorticity spin making it deep into the Gulf of Honduras, over here into the left portion of your screen, the vorticity doesn't wrap around the corner. This is why, let me switch you back. This is why the National Hurricane Center has a straight arrow going up. Okay, so instead of getting deep into here, taking a more westward track, look where the National Hurricane Center is going. Okay, let me switch you back to the imagery. Here it is. That's where the National Hurricane Center's arrow is, pretty much, right? If the thing takes a northerly track from here, it's going to go up the Yucatan Channel with limited land interaction. Once it clears this hurdle and gets into here or here, okay, either way, It's going to be over open ocean, just like we talked about in the last video, able to suck up the warm water from the Gulf of Mexico. And these waters are hot, guys. Okay, and we're about to find out the results of that and likely see a formidable hurricane in the Gulf. Now, you're reminded that some of the most historic hurricanes have come from this pattern called round the corner. Now, round the corner is a process that I coined. I coined that. Okay, you don't hear anybody else in the weather community talking about round the corner, but it's something that I observed over the years of observation of this pattern, and it's a well-known pattern, and you can start to see it set up. So let me do this for you, because a lot of people think that I just draw random lines and make funny faces. I'm going to do a screen capture of this just so that you can kind of see what we're talking about. Okay, now I've already screenshotted the image, so I'm going to go ahead and start by showing you the rotation. And that is, it looks like this. And as you can see, this becomes the main center of rotation versus deep in here. This is likely to slide back in here, and then this is going to, the trigger mechanism is going to end up consolidating with the spin. Now, what this means for later on is, look, this thing has already got the look. Now, imagine this sliding up into the Gulf. And then now here's what it looks like in the 06Z run of the GFS. Mind you, now this is in within 96 hours. If you'll take note, look, Nicaraguan, Honduran border. For those who try to analyze models, you know, there's a difference between a model watcher and a model reader. A model watcher is just somebody that goes and looks at the run and don't have really any idea what they're looking at, and or won't go bother to check the imagery to see if what the model initializes at you can confirm in the imagery. I'm going to fast forward the model for you. You can see that rotation. Now, there it is. Now, look, this is off to a little bit more to the northwest than what the National Hurricane Center was showing, but then it dips back towards the east. It dips back towards the west. And then as we advance the model, look, it makes it through the Yucatan Channel with no land interaction, and then gets up in here to the middle Gulf. And right there, guys, that's within 96 hours, 967 millibar hurricane approaching the Florida Panhandle. Okay, here's where the important part comes in. It is important to not focus on the exact track of the system. Why? Look at it. Focus on the center of the storm. You go 300 miles to the right, the whole state of Florida is covered under rain. A shift of 100 miles to the right could mean far more reaching impacts without a direct landfall on West Florida. Don't pay attention to the exact forecast track. Obviously, those that are north of the storm, Florida Panhandle, Big Bend area, are going to suffer the worst impacts. But for those of you that are in Tampa going, hey, is Tampa still in play? Yeah, Tampa's still in play, because guess what? It could make a right-hand turn. Because what do they say? Nobody knows exactly where it's going. But we know that at least in 96 hours, it's going to be right there, and the satellite imagery supports it. So you folks up in the Panhandle, don't waste time waiting on the next model run. Start your hurricane prep now. Stay tuned. That's all I got for you for now. Let the sun come up a little bit better. Let's see what happens at 12Z, and I'll cut another video.